Sorry that I'm late. I was trying to figure out the words. Am I on? Am I live? Hi. Sorry that I'm late. Wanted to think of words that I can use, different combinations of words and phrases to incite support for my actions and for what I'm about to say. Didn't want to get too poetic, but I did want to play on the heartstrings, being that we are still kind of recovering from some incidences with attacks against children. This is not meant to be a parody. This is not meant to even be funny. What's happening over in Syria is a serious problem. We understand this. Happens all across the world. We see it. There's a guy who's just so power hungry, doesn't want to relinquish power, or a country that just has a few screws loose. Whatever the case may be, we see this, and we've seen it throughout history. Now, the United States has taken upon a role of world police, and I am not one to disagree or agree with the state. When it comes to the world and how the United States interacts, I can't say. I didn't take poli-sci. I know nothing of government issues. I know of our Lord. And I realize that when there is a grave injustice, that a grave injustice has to be confronted. How we confront, the United States has taken upon itself that of war, strikes. I love the U.S. and I love everything that we stand for. It's time to start calling out hypocrisy when hypocrisy is present. President Obama comes out and he incites the crowd looking in the camera, accompanied by his vice president. And he looks in the camera and he incites the crowd and gives a great speech, dissertation, moving words of what's going on with the Syrian regime, the attacks against the children, and the chemical strikes that has happened. He uses words like the dignity of the human person and reiterates children, boys and girls, the attack on boys and girls and the attack against the dignity of the human person. You have the audacity to use these terms so freely as if you are the defender of the dignity of the human person and the defender of children. Let's be real. You're not the defender of the dignity of the human person. Unfortunately, your presidency, to most people, will be known as a presidency that attacked the dignity of the human person and that attacked the rights of children, both born and unborn. The attack that Syria supposedly used chemical weapons or chemical gases, we're not sure. We're still trying to figure that out. But the fact that they're using chemical gases is honestly no different than our silent killer. Now, let me remind you that I am completely in disarray as to what's going on across seas in Syria. We have seen Muslims and Catholics alike unite in the protection of themselves. We've seen images of Muslims creating a barrier so that Catholics can celebrate Mass. And we've seen Christians create a barrier so that Muslims can pray. We've seen the act of love that's coming from such tragic action. And only if the U.S. can learn from those acts of love. We're going through something ourselves over here. This silent genocide of abortion. Hot topic. I get it. And some people, even within the Catholic circle, tend to not want to say stuff about abortion. I tend to just bring the fire. The chemical gases that are being used, supposedly, in Syria are really a physical representation of the permissive medical abuse of abortion. Now, the permissive medical abuse is hidden, beautifully disguised in that of women's rights, and it's their bodies. I understand. I realize that it's your body. And in some extreme cases, such as rape, I could see where a woman would not want to carry the baby of her victimizer. I understand. Doesn't mean I agree. My heart goes out to people who have been a victim of that. But let's be real. That percentage is very small compared to the woman who just doesn't want to have a child. Or to a woman who, oh, what? I'm pregnant? The condom broke? The percentage of that abuse, of rape, is so small compared to the number of people who just don't feel like having a child because it's their bodies. The government has allowed some serious legislation to pass, almost to a point where the free reign of abortion is upon us. At any point in time, you can have one no matter what age. I mean, it's getting there. And on top of that, taxpayers are going to be paying for it, regardless of what your belief is, whether you agree or disagree. Don't use the words protecting against the dignity of the human person if you are not going to do it within your own home, if you're not going to do it within your own country. Yeah, it's easy to send out troops to another country. Not easy in terms of the troops and the families that they're leaving behind, but it's easy for the commander-in-chief to say, all right, we'll have a debate, okay? We'll see if Republicans and Democrats can come together and finally put an end to the dictatorship or the evil that's out in another country against the attack of the dignity of the human person. But for you to stand there and talk to thousands, millions of people who are either watching domestically, internationally, whatever the case may be, you're looking in the camera and saying that you are a protector against something that you are not a protector of. Stop fronting. Stop trying to play our heartstrings. If you're going to make a decision, man up. Make the decision. But don't try to get us to back you on a decision. Don't try to get us to back you as a president, the defender of the dignity of the human person, the defender of children across the world, the defender of children within the United States. Because that, my man, you are not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to judge those who have done, are contemplating doing, or are for abortion. My job's not to judge, but to inform. Just as much as you have a radical opinion in terms of what you believe is right, I myself have a very radical opinion as to what I feel is wrong. And do it out of love. Whether you hear it in my tone or want to believe it or not, I can't determine that. Only you can. What's happening in Syria right now, in my opinion, the physical representation of what's happening in the silence of our legislation. A genocide is a genocide. Whether it's publicized on the news or mainstreamed on the newspaper, millions of deaths are millions of deaths. Point blank. Whether it's disguised in rights or whether it's splattered through the news as tyranny. If we want to be real about this, let's be real. The dignity of the human person, the children of our country, are under attack now. 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 You want to talk about national security? The very country right now is under attack by the very same legislation that you promote. And in the time that I've recorded this vlog and posted this vlog, our country has seen more death than Syria has seen in the past few days. So,
you're justified to take life. First you take the first life, then you take the second life, then you take the third life. You're justified to take life.